Look in my eyes for my mind state. I'm on the grind 25-8. Money on my mind, that's how I play. If you got it now, this what I say. Hold up, hold up, hold up, wait. Hold up, hold up, hold up, wait.
Speeding. We got sound, we got visual. Yep. And we got the guests of the evening, Mr. Aleister Black and Miss Zelina Vega.
What's up?
Boom. We got some stars. The star power keeps growing on this
We're on a
show every week.
podcast.
Swerve
It's
City
a podcast. What's up?
Tell them to.
It's a podcast.
Boom.
Oh, yours is way clearer than mine. 'Cause I'm like on this like little.
You bet. And y'all better get all the viewing in now because y'all ain't gonna get this feed for like 20 minutes.
After
and then
20 minutes, we're cutting this, and you're gonna have to go to
Swerve City Podcast on YouTube.
Swerve City Podcast.
YouTube.com/Swerve City Podcast to watch the rest of the interview. So, but now we just gonna talk to the viewers at home that's watching this on YouTube because I know you subscribe to this show. I know you're doing it because you got Zelina Vega and you got Aleister Black on the show.
There's a lot of heat in this room.
Well, don't worry, it's gonna start pumping. So, boom. But yeah, so this episode, what are we on? I forget every day.
6, sir.
Six?
Six.
Six?
I knew
Six!
Sponsor, sir.
Say six.
Says.
Is it six? I don't feel like it's six.
No,
Cedric
five.
Cedric is 5.
Cedric's 5.
Cedric's
I wasn't here
6.
for
I
5.
promoted everything.
5 times.
5.
We on
That's a lot of sixes to be thrown out.
Hey, to viewers at home, when this man walked in here, the lights started flickering.
Yep.
True facts. So
They
this
did.
magic is
So-
real.
Like that.
As
That light right there.
as I said, let me talk about that for a second because I've had this thing my entire life, and I told her, and this was a direct example of that. I don't know why it happens, and I know you're gonna sit at home and go like, yeah, of course, sure, buddy, but it just happened. I have a
just
thing
happened.
that, and I don't know what it is. I don't know if I have like a strong magnetic field around me, but
You guys
in my
outside.
life,
Yeah,
yeah,
you watched it.
in my life.
I think the whole thing.
I synced it.
I seen it. I saw it. So, and in my entire life long, there's always been a moment where a light post or a lantern would flicker or completely turn off in my surroundings. And for like years on end, it was always the same 2-3 lights in my surroundings when I lived back in Amsterdam. And at one point, one of my friends just didn't believe me, and I was like, no, I'm going to show you. So there was this one light, for some reason, whenever I would turn towards it, it would cut off. So I'm walking with my friend, and I'm like, all right, you're gonna find out.
This dude's nude
And we're
sideline.
gonna,
There you go.
we Dutch people, we like to cycle. We love to cycle. So I'm 16, 17 years old. So we're cycling down the water, and I turn towards this lamppost, and as soon as I get around the corner, it cuts off. And she goes, "Get the F out!" I'm like, "I told you." And every single time I came near, like cars would pass, people would pass, I would pass, it would cut off. So the lamppost outside our house does the same thing, and you've seen it happen. And now I walk in, and the light starts flickering. I don't know what it is.
It's that dark energy, man.
I don't think it's dark energy. I just think I have a strong.
Is it dark
magnetic field or
energy the
something.
same force field that's pushing Rafters on the Roman Reigns on SmackDown?
I cannot confirm nor deny that question.
Stay tuned, SmackDown Live Tuesday nights. But anyway, moving on. Before we get into the real gritty of the whole thing, we just gotta say, man, this has been a crazy weekend. Just yesterday, the day before, we had some mass shootings, so we just want to sit out there and say, hey, you're everybody as victims in the Dayton and the El Paso, Texas shootings. Our hearts go out to you and our prayers are out for you.
Absolutely.
And we lost a great legend in the wrestling industry and the wrestling history in Harley Race.
Absolutely.
And I remember WrestleCade. We were at WrestleCade this past year. Harley Race was there, and I walked right past him, said hello to him. That's like the only time I ever met Harley, and but that's the only interaction I've ever had with him. But he's one of them guys you just feel the good energy about him when you're around him. You just feel like how great he was. You just feel you get that good vibe from some people, and Harley Race gave that to me just from that little interaction with him. Anybody have memories of Harley or interactions with him at all?
Other than shaking his hand and briefly meeting him with NXT, no.
Yeah.
Wrestling wise, obviously.
Yeah.
And especially since joining WWE and getting to know like Terry Taylor and Terry showing us
Tons of it.
Yes. Harley race, because Harley, and I tweeted that out, Harley just did things a little different.
Mm-hmm.
I feel that if you saw someone do a knee drop, it was a knee drop, but if Harley race did a knee drop,
that's that Harley knee
it was a
drop.
Harley race knee drop.
That's the
And
Harley
everybody
knee drop.
talks about the knee drop, because he just had this thing where he made everybody look incredible. His selling mannerism, and he was like a legitimate badass dude. That dude, like, he looked like you just didn't. You're like, oh, I'm no part of you.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he was a scary, scary looking individual. So he played his character as much as it was a character very well. But outside the ring, like from what I've always heard, was a very soft-spoken, gentle person. But in the ring, like a terrifying human being. Like I said, he just tended to do things like slightly different, and I feel that he was always like leaps and bounds ahead of his era, and that kind of made him stand out. But, you know, if we're talking about some of the greatest sellers and the greatest innovators, you know, we talk about Harley Race, but like Kurt Hennig and stuff like that, and just like, and he falls in that line of one of those individuals that just stands out for doing things his way and just thinking about the business and then going like, okay, this is the business, but now let's do it slightly this way, and it worked. That worked. Absolutely.
So that was over this weekend. This is the 1 year anniversary of Mac Miller's Swimming album, which is, to me, a very emotional album. And especially after what's happened to him, his passing and suicide and everything, that album hits a little bit harder as well. It puts a tear to your eye. So that's a really remarkable album. If anybody who's not familiar with Mac Miller's music, not familiar with that album in itself, I advise you, I implore you to go out and listen to it. Mac Miller Swimming album 1 year anniversary. Over this past weekend, what did my man get into? Teasy Scott over here, everybody.
How you doing, man? Teasy Scott, Instagram, Twitter, things of that nature.
Boom.
For me, I was this weekend, man. I've been actually switched back going vegan, so I've been back vegan. I've been doing the vegan thing again. I'm back vegan
On the cleanse.
on the good cleanse, man. Been feeling real good. Back on my bike 4 times a week. Back on my good workout program, so I've been doing that, and also, you know, getting ready for this video. You know, we're dropping the I'm the Man video shoot next.
Took
next
3
week.
days to film this thing.
3 days. We did 3 separate days to shoot the video.
First time ever on that one.
First time ever. That's the longest I've ever like separated the shoot, and I tried to make sure everything was perfect with it on my end. So didn't want to rush a music video. So
And the people that are in it, the guests.
Yes.
Oh man, we got D.O. Madden, my tag partner, currently in NXT. We got D.A. Brewer. Antoine Brewer up in
Shots
there.
fired, man.
Yeah, we got one half of the NXT Tag Champions and someone you can see every night, Monday night on Raw. We got Angelo Dawkins in the video.
True.
Man.
Can we really call that Monday Night? Can we call Angelo Dawkins Monday Night Raw? Can we
We're
really?
just going to go ahead and say
Can
Monday
we
Night Raw.
really? Angelo Dawkins, if you're watching this, which I'm sure you won't. You know,
Oh, he watched. He's a fan.
You're on the fence with that one for me, buddy.
Oh, no.
You're foof.
no.
Oh, no. That's what I watch Raw for. Among other
On the
things.
fence.
Among other things. But I want to see my
Oh, okay. So you consider Dawkins a draw?
In my heart.
Don't do that.
Don't do that.
This is live.
Don't do that.
He is a draw.
This
in
is
my
live.
heart.
He be drawing. I heard he was an artist.
Come on, fam.
That's what I heard.
He wears draws.
He wears
Yeah.
what drawers? He puts his drawers in a drawer.
And we got one more guest too, who's on the video.
Who?
You are very familiar with this certain individual,
Who?
Mr. Gary Garbutt himself, Cedric
Oh.
Alexander.
I know that fool.
Yeah, you might have heard about him. Might have done
If
the
you see Gary, tell him I want my money, cause he ain't do no work.
thing.
That
was at 5,000.
He don't
You
do
are
no
you
work.
Mark? Is he Mark for you?
Huh?
Is he a Mark for you?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So you.
Oh, Big Mark. Everybody's a Big
So-
Swole, Big Mark. Come on
What
now.
was your
You're
weekend?
talking, speaking
What
of
was your-
Right, yeah, Big Swole Mark. Let it be true.
What was your weekend like? Since you got all the marks.
Let me tell you.
Oh,
Oh, I missed you.
Oh, I'm gonna put the camera on me real quick. So we can listen.
Hey, flip it.
Listen. I met Billy Zane this weekend. I was at the Galaxy Con in Raleigh, North Carolina for FSCW for Fantasy Super Cosplay Wrestling.
You met the Mummy.
Huh?
You met the Mummy.
The Mummy. I met Mr. Cal himself from Titanic. I don't know what Rose was thinking, but I would have chose him. You understand? 'Cause that man was still fine to this day. Mr. Phantom himself, Billy Zane. He was right across from my table. It was a highlight of, one of the highlights of my weekend. Also met Rob Schneider. He walked.
That would have been my highlight.
Bruh, listen.
Bruh.
He walked up to me, and then I guess this is like the inside joke now. He walked up to me, he's like, "Hi, I'm Rob," and I'm like, "Oh, hi, I'm Aerial." And he's like, "You have great body language." So I was like, "Oh, so he was watching me through this green room, huh?" He's like, "Oh, yeah, you have great body language." So the rest of the week, everybody was like, "Aerial, how's that body language you got going
That
on?"
Rob
And I was
Schneider
like,
was putting over
Right.
the animal himself.
"Right."
You can do it, head ass.
yeah, you can do it. Yeah. And
Yeah.
I met Barney, the real Barney. I met him as
Hold
well.
on, like early 90s Barney? Like old school Barney?
Bob. His name is Bob.
Oh, his name is Bob.
His name is
He's
Bob.
Barney to me.
Barney looked like a Bob.
He's
Barney,
Bob.
I'm like, there's a Bob under that
He's
suit.
Bob.
Definitely a Bob.
Yeah, he's Bob.
He bobbing.
Yeah.
Was he still in the
I
suit?
wish they could see you guys. Oh my god.
Sorry.
Oh, we
That's
acting a
like
fool
what-
over.
That's
No,
why I grabbed the phone.
mine's plugged to the table.
He didn't have the suit, but he had a purple,
Yeah,
dress shirt on. It was nice. Yeah, I met like
Just so that you were clear that he was Barney.
he was Barney. Yeah,
He was
yeah. I
the
just
Barney.
had to
you know
make
what?
sure.
Let me see. Actually,
Yeah, I met a lot of
okay.
people. I met the
Yeah, we
Ariel
like to
Little
hold it, but
Mermaid.
hey. Yeah. Oh, no,
And,
no.
There we go.
met old dude that says He-Man, Eric Matthews.
Oh, shit.
And he was also Batman Beyond. I met him as well. Yeah.
Come again?
You know from Boy Meets World?
Yeah.
What's
You
the
remember dude?
tag? What's the Instagram for Swerve City?
yeah.
Swerve City Podcast Official.
How you do this?
How you do that?
How you do that?
Swerve
City Podcast Official. It's right there.
teaching
See the
folks
Swerve City
how
and
to
the
use the
podcast,
social media.
and then add
Come.
official.
Let's
so
watch.
we got off talking with Mr. Aleister. We're gonna go to Miss
Yeah.
Zelina over here.
I know what I'm doing, but I can't type anymore.
Well, while you typing, we gonna ask Miss.
At Swerve City.
Boom. Cause we only got 20 minutes on this RG Live.
On this thing.
Yeah, ma'am, you were brought up in the Queens, New York area.
That I was.
Born, raised.
What part?
Yes.
What part of Queens?
He's a New Yorker. He's asking.
West Village? Okay,
Queens
from
Village.
Rockaway. Okay.
Okay.
All right, you're not too far.
Yeah.
You're not
Born
too
in
far.
Flushing, but grown up in Queens Village.
How was that experience for you? Like, how long were you there?
I was there for 14 years.
Ah, you was in
Damn,
Queens
okay.
14 years?
Yeah.
Do you miss it?
I miss my family there, and I think being brought up in Queens kind of made me who I am, if that makes sense. It's
I
something
know.
that
It definitely brought the spice out of you.
yes.
So vague.
Look, that spice is coming. That spice is coming either way.
That's so weird.
What is weird?
Really?
What is weird?
So you're saying that the place that you grew up made you? That's
I got you.
really.
Yeah.
I would have not guessed that.
No, not at all.
No.
That's
Even just
that-
me talking normal like this.
That's
no,
at home.
no.
That's at
No, he
home.
knows it when I get mad. That's the Queens that he knows.
Which is how often per day?
Well, she is Spanish.
That's why I ask per day.
I live for those moments, though.
You've seen that.
Yes,
side of
it's
me.
the greatest thing
When the
ever.
Española comes out.
Being on the outside, looking in, and you're just like, yes.
See, that's the interesting thing about this relationship right here, or the marriage itself. The cultures. How much is there a culture clash in the household with y'all two? As far
So
as, like-
funny enough,
Yes.
like I used to think, well, we're both from like westernized worlds, and but there is like massive differences.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's why I'm at.
Oh, yeah.
That's why I'm about to get into this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you season the chicken?
Oh.
Well, there's no chicken in our
There's
household.
no chicken.
No,
in our
chicken.
house.
Oh, y'all-
No,
no,
that's why I was
that's
like,
right.
the vegan thing is I don't eat meat
I
either.
don't
So
eat meat.
he doesn't
Oh,
either.
so y'all do jackfruit, right?
Well, so there's tofu and there's
Tofu, yeah.
seitan. Like there's a bunch of different things that you can use as
Gardein.
a substitute. Gardein is a big substitute. So there's tons of things, but I didn't push him to stop eating meat at all. He just
No,
did it on his own
I
because he
just-
loves animals. So it's kind of
Yeah.
like
It's been in my head for a very long time. I've got a sister who's been a vegetarian since she was 9 years old, and I've always wanted to try it. But like, when you're an athlete, you're like, no, gotta get my protein in, raw, gotta work out, raw,
Yep.
protein,
Right.
protein,
Yep.
protein, raw.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
the thing is, like, I started doing it, and I lost a lot of body fat. I think people who watch me in NXT and watch me now go like, well, he's made a complete physical
Drastic
turn.
differences.
Right.
Drastic differences.
And not just only contributing that to becoming a vegetarian. There was a lot of stuff wrong with me. I had a lot of physical ailment when I started in NXT. There was a lot of hormonal disbalance, but we cleared all that. But I think the button on it was turning vegetarian.
Mm-hmm.
I was already eating 75% vegetarian because of, I do all the cooking because I like cooking.
That's the other side. You just kind of put me on blast there, but yeah.
But it's okay.
No,
I like
but
cooking.
she can cook though. Let's just put it
Like,
out there.
I am quite capable.
I am quite capable. I just prefer when he does it because he does it really good. So,
And I was just like, well, I'm going to give this a month. And I'm not really a person of many great cliches, but I was like, well, January 1st. I have never had a New Year's resolution. I'm going to do it. And the first New Year's resolution I ever did, and it stuck. And I did it for a month, and I lost so much body fat, and just my energy levels became better. I slept better. My workouts were better. And I was like, why didn't I do this 10 years ago? Because it really helped me a great deal. And I spoke to Daniel Bryan about it because he's obviously because I just wanted his perspective as a male athlete, how he does it. He gave me great tips and great stuff to work with and some stuff to read, and I just kind of made that transition. And I just like animals a lot, a lot. And,
we have 5 cats.
I'm not.
Every time I came over, there was a new cat.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
I'm like, are y'all breeding the cats, or are y'all just bringing new cats in?
We have, but you guys have to see our cats.
They're quite.
At Team Tomato.
So with your transition, when you decided to go vegetarian, was it like when you first started the diet? Because I know when I first started the diet, I sweated out so many toxins, dude. I was sweating like a madman when I first started.
First couple podcasts,
I just think that's the meat withdrawals you had.
Oh, maybe.
He's got the meat sweat.
Yeah, it's like this. It's weird because my body started. It's like a
I
transition.
don't remember that specifically. I don't remember me going gotta get some beef steak in. No, I didn't have that. But no, I don't know. I made the transition, and I just within days. I remember the 4th day in, I was telling her, I'm like, this might be I don't know if it's real, but I feel really good. I just feel like my body is not as reacting weird to things. And funny enough, I started realizing now as well that I think I am lactose intolerant. I haven't had a whey shake in forever. And I took a whey shake last week, and just my stomach for a good 16 to 18 hours. I was completely upset. I'm Dutch, so I love cheese. I had cheese a couple days ago. Again, my stomach just so I think that I don't know, turning vegetarian kind of reset my body a little bit, and I'm finding out all these things about my body and my physique, what works and what doesn't work. So turning vegetarian kind of might trigger the one thing, because obviously your enzymes and your stomach change and everything, and I think that's also made my body go maybe lay off more animal products and stuff like that. Maybe milk is no I was never really a milk products. I can't stand milk.
Once you get rid of that out of you purge it out of your system.
Yeah.
You eat it again, and it just makes it so much harder. You're just it can't. Your body can't tolerate it.
A while ago, we ordered Denny's, and I'll take egg whites, and I'll take some whole grain toast and stuff like that, and they put bacon on top of the egg whites.
Oh.
And because you have to choose a protein, stuff like that. So I grabbed the bacon, and out of reflex, I do this. All I taste was blood. My tongue is completely different nowadays, and I was and again, I'm not one of those. Oh, you have to stop. You're killing the earth. Yeah, that's not who I am. You need to do what you feel comfortable with.
Right, exactly.
That's important. For me, however, this works, and I implore anyone who listens to this, give it a go. You might find something that really helps, because it did for me, and it never hurts to try something. So.
Yeah.
And as far as the differences between us, we do have differences, but I also
that's
feel
what
like
this conversation
that's
is
where it
about.
started.
I
made this all about me.
Back to
Mr. Black.
no, but
Reel it in, partner.
we share a brain. I feel sometimes, as much as we're very different, we're very much the same.
Like yin and yang.
It's crazy.
That's how I feel, Cedric and I. Yin and yang.
Yeah,
Same person,
It's
but
wild.
different.
Even things like.
I like sacrificing goats. She likes to sit on the couch.
Yeah.
Hey man,
No, but even things like I've never been in a relationship with somebody that loves Pokemon or things like silly nerdy things that I do, or play video games with my partner. Never has that been the case.
We're gonna get into the video game discussion later on.
So
Yes.
it's a very cool dynamic in the Black household.
I just don't
Meet the Blacks.
Meet the Blacks.
So we are going to be cutting the feed. Boom.
Yeah.
If y'all want to see the rest of this conversation, this interview, go on to Swerve City on YouTube.
Swerve City.
YouTube.com/Swerve City Podcast. Thank you all for watching.
Say that one
Say
more
that
time.
really loud. And
Yes.
YouTube.com/Swerve City Podcast. It's very easy to find. Boom.
See you guys,
Boom.
and go to the podcast.
Yeah.
We're gonna continue right there.
Boom. We get left off.
Yeah. In that mother.
Deuces. We got, yeah. Got a little viewing right there.
Oh, I didn't even see how much actually.
Oh, 7,200. That's good by me.
Hey, that's what we need.
You need that, cuz.
Good.
Oh, it stops here.
Oh,
It stops
of course
until
it
you
does.
see it.
Oh, look at the technological couple. Oh.
I'm terrible. Straight to the.
Oh, no! Copyright! Ah!
It's a 2-second thing.
What? Sing another song. Funk is on the ride. That's always a good one. Yep.
So we're gonna get into the nitty gritty of the whole thing.
yeah.
So what I like to do on the podcast, I like to talk about overcoming the odds. The times that you were at your lowest, the times that you had to beat the odds to overcome all these obstacles, these roadblocks in your life, your career. Maybe someone held you back. Maybe there was opportunities that just weren't presented to you at the right time that got you to where you are now. My man tagged with Ricochet at WrestleMania this past year. Zelina did the same thing, doing WrestleMania, doing Royal Rumble, NXT, managing NXT champion. That's a whole.
I was 1/4 said champion. Just saying.
Yes, and match of the year. Boom.
Just, you know.
You know,
It's a little something.
something light.
Little bias.
No, it ain't dying, but you know.
No,
And not to mention fighting with my family,
True that.
doing the final scene of that film. What were the obstacles that you had to go through just to get in the door for the WWE?
Oof. That took me 8 years.
8-year
8
process.
years, yes. My first ever tryout was in 2010, and I had a tryout basically every year past that, and except 2011, because I was obviously with the other company at that time period. But it took a lot of sacrifice. Of I would have a tryout, and they say like, "Oh, you're to this, change this. Oh, you're to that, change that," and I would just keep doing it, over and over. And then I remember it was February of 2017. I believe no. Maybe it was 16. I don't know. But I was like, I'm done with this. I'm done trying. I'm really, this is it. And I remember texting Dwayne saying, hey, WWE is kind of still sending me like no's, and they don't really care to have me there. And I just got turned off for this, it was this audition I did for Spider-Man, and they was like, yeah. And then at the last minute, like, no. They changed it from a female role to a male role. So,
you were supposed to be in this one, right?
This past one, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Damn.
So, like, we went through a very
What was the
long-
character you were supposed to play?
The main heel.
Oh, it was
what was her
MJ?
name? What was her name again?
It was supposed to be Scorpia. Scorpia was the name. They had
Interesting.
changed it from a male to a female, but then they're like, no, we want to go a completely different direction
Which
with
was
it.
So was
Mysterio.
that the Scorpion character turned
As a
into
ma-
a female?
as a female, yeah.
Alright,
Mhm. But they had said no, and it was a big thing. I was like, I'm just so over this. I'm done. Do you have any advice for me? And he was like, give me a few days. I'm working on something. And then about 2 to 3 days later, he called me and said, hey, I got this great opportunity for you. It's going to be amazing. I know you're going to love it, blah, blah, blah. You're going to play Divas Champion in my movie. And I was like,
Come again?
yeah, right. And right away, like, the waterworks, like, oh my God, I can't even. But I couldn't even believe what I was hearing. He was just like, I want you to know, but I need you to help me with this. Like, I need you to help me hire, the stunt double for Paige. I need you to kind of direct the match. So I had to go to NXT at the Performance Center and kind of work with Dave Taylor a lot to put the match together and everything. So it was a long process, but then after that, I think after Triple H had seen me be AJ in that moment, and really just, we had one take for the promo. I had to do the match 5 times through, so it was like working with Tessa, who was the stunt double, and then working with the actress, and then just switching back and forth. So we had 45 minutes in that time frame to get it all done, and he said,
In
wow.
front of a live audience.
Yeah, in front of
Yeah.
it was at the Staples Center in Los Angeles. So just to kind of control that crowd, he was like, oh wow, maybe she can do this. And then I got hired shortly after.
Jesus.
Yeah.
So every time going to the Staples Center, there's like a nice little there's like a connection there in that
There
building, in that city,
absolutely is.
every time now.
Yes,
Yeah.
and I'm not skipping now, but it's a nice feeling. It's really cool.
Your heel's too high to be skipping it. I'm like,
No, honey.
Yeah, well,
No.
being 5'0" nothing, you kind of have to, you know.
I ain't far from you, so.
Yeah, but it
Her
was
height
a
is
long
the size of your head circumference.
You know what?
My head is pretty
You know
big,
what?
so she
You
got
know what, Lord? You go ahead and take me now. Because this heathen over here.
There's 3 episodes deep. Keep coming for it.
Yeah, but it was a long journey, but it was one that made me appreciate what I have now. And you fight
Absolutely.
for it, man. Like, I have an action figure coming out in October, and it's like, what is life right now? You know, so there's been so many moments that I've had that, so it kind of makes you more grateful for the journey.
Absolutely. If you could offer one advice for the same person that's going through probably the same thing that you went through, getting those parts like declined and saying no, you're too this, you're too that, what would you tell them?
I know it sounds cliche, but never take no for an answer.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's really the biggest thing. And when you think that this is it and you're finished, you're done, push a little harder, because something is, it's like the light at the end of the tunnel, it's right there, but you have to push through it, or else you just, you're letting something go. I don't know if you've ever seen that meme where it's like that guy's digging and he's like this close to the diamond. That's the exact
And you
thing.
see all of how far he's dug, and he's like,
Yep.
ugh, yep.
Yep, exactly.
I feel that every day.
Yep, and he turns out
Turns
exactly.
back around now.
Yeah.
So,
Like on
yeah.
the cusp of your breakthrough. Just
Yeah.
gotta go straight through.
Mr. Black, what would you say was your struggle or the time you met animosity and you gave it a black mask to the face?
Oof. You know, it's always a very difficult moment to pinpoint where everything either went bad or everything turned good. I think in a business as professional wrestling, which I've been in for nearly two decades, I can safely
A lot of people
say...
don't realize.
No, I started in 2000. And
Yeah.
I had my first match in June 2002, June 18th in The Hague. I always said to myself, you need to be able to see the forest through the trees. Like every single time, every single day. Not just with pro wrestling, but just in life, because obviously I carry more things with me than just wrestling. The parts where I struggled was more with myself and how I communicated with others and how I interacted with them than the wrestling itself a lot of the times. Anxiety and depression make it really difficult for any individual to do things, but I was never gonna use those things as setting me back. It was more the decision to keep moving that part forward, because every single time I was convincing myself that I couldn't do it, I did it.
Mm-hmm.
And then every single time I proved myself wrong. I proved myself wrong every single match I did it. Because I remember very vividly that a lot of times before the match I told myself, I don't want to do this, I don't want to do this, I don't want to do this.
I've been there.
But it's weird, because
It's
like
weird,
you've
yeah.
been wanting this your entire life, but then your natural instincts kick
to
in.
flee.
And yes, because
It
you know
is.
it's fear, and it's becoming accustomed in that fear and making the decision to step forward as opposed to step back is the defining moment of any athlete, I feel.
Yeah.
Because the pressure of performing, the pressure of competing is what scares us, but also drives us, and the reward comes after the release of endorphins and the accomplishments that
adrenaline
kind of propels any individual to take more steps forward. And with me, obviously, there's like an entire garbage bag of anxiety and depression being dumped on me every single time I try to do something. But it was more about being able to understand the small rewards in everything, because wrestling, especially in independent wrestling, there are no big rewards. When I started out, wrestling was not in the landscape that it was now. It was, number one, not cool to be a pro wrestler.
Nope.
There was nothing to do, really. I was wrestling in front of 30, 40 people, and I was 120 pounds at most, and all these old school old-timers that were just coming out of CWA and were supposed to be the next big stars, they have missed their mark by 5 years, because from the moment that folded to like the moment I started, there was nothing really going on. There were a few places that would kind of like come up, but they would kind of die out again.
Yeah.
And WCW was there, but they weren't really hiring a lot of like Europeans. As a European person, it was very hard to stand out. And by the time I started, WCW was no longer there. ECW was no longer there. There was only WWE. And I was 120 pounds, and all these dudes that were supposed to be the next big
Even
things
the
in
cruiserweights were
wrestling.
huge.
Yeah, they would have to now train me, and they were looking at, I'm training this guy. So I would basically get my ass handed to me each and every single time I would step out in the ring. And luckily, I had a good crew with me. There were a lot of good Dutch kids that would, they would come up to me and we would train. We would, we would make sure that we would travel everywhere. Anywhere we can do something. I remember driving for 15 hours straight to have a 3-minute match, and I would do it, and I would get paid €20, which is $23.
Yep.
But I would do it because I loved professional wrestling that much that to me, like, the idea that I've driven all this time to do this was a reward.
That was the
and
reward,
like
yes.
exactly. And you think to yourself, like, why is that a reward? Because I mentally overcame that.
Mm-hmm.
Because I did it. Because I could say that I sat in the car for 30 hours for such a small piece of wrestling, such a small thing of professional wrestling, sports entertainment, whatever you want to call it. And I did that. And I made sure that slowly and surely my name would be mapped out in Europe.
Yep. I always look at the people that couldn't do that. The mass amount of people that said no.
Yeah.
That didn't sacrifice the things that you did, the time, the
Well,
job, the family, all
Especially
that.
now,
to
like,
do it.
I feel like a lot of people are so entitled to it.
Very.
You know what I mean?
Man.
I have to drive 4 hours and I only get paid. Like,
Well, but
you don't have to worry about getting paid. Just worry about getting good.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Because all these opportunities are coming to them now. It's not you going. It's not them going to the opportunity.
Especially social media.
Social media, you can
Yeah.
you can do it in your backyard and get noticed. You can do certain things like that's bringing the opportunity to you.
Right.
Right now we're losing the art of going to the opportunity. Like
Yeah.
even like not just in pro wrestling, not just in sports entertainment. That's just in an entertainment period. People want to be IG comedians instead of going to the clubs and doing the rounds
What a great
and
thing.
and following and getting in cars with their seniors.
Laugh Factory.
The laugh factories,
Oh,
yeah, they
man.
people don't do that anymore because they want to go on IG and do it for themselves. They want to
yeah.
play all these characters.
Well, but that's
and
also
bring the
what
laughs to them.
But that's also what we've taught ourselves, isn't it? Like
Yeah.
that now, all of a sudden, we can do what we see people do. We see the stars do. We see
Yeah.
famous people do. Now I can do that too.
Yeah.
So I want that attention.
Get a phone.
And
That's-
yeah.
You're an
That's all you
entertainer.
need.
Exactly. It's
Get a phone now. You're an
It's like
entertainer.
and good for
gratification.
people. Good for people that create their own platforms. I will never hate on the person that creates their own platform with blood, sweat, and tears. I will never. But the entitlement is something, especially that it's sometimes I see, and again, people sometimes don't realize, and that I've been in wrestling for 2 decades nearly. And like I think of people go, oh, it's starting to sound like an old bitter. I'm 34 years old. I'm not. But I care about professional wrestling. I've always cared about professional wrestling. And if I wouldn't care, I wouldn't say this. But I think a lot of times nowadays, it's definitely a lot different. The landscape of wrestling is more accessible than it's ever been. And I'm not always sure if I think that's a good thing. Maybe that's because I took pride in how I started. But that doesn't mean that there's not a bunch of really good kids right now grinding it out.
There's
There's a lot of talent.
There's a
on the
lot of
internet.
talent.
A lot of kids that I see now. I'm like, damn. You're wearing one of his shirts right now. That dude's awesome.
Shout out Brody King.
Yeah, he's
Shout out to
definitely
Brody, man.
that dude's going places.
Yep.
And you know what I mean?
In a short period of time too.
But he's a
But he
hardworking
deserves it.
dude. He's a hardworking kid. Like, I love him to death, but also because he comes from a place where I come from. He comes from the hardcore scene. It's similar to where I came from, and that attitude is all about they're putting your chest forward and just go. You don't take no for an answer. Like it's a struggle. We embrace the struggle. We are the struggle. We project the struggle back at you, and it's just perseverance all the time. And he's a direct example of that. And he's going places, and you can in the span of 3-4 years, Ring of Honor contract, New Japan tour. He's going
Titles,
places.
tag titles.
Yeah.
He's great
All over the world.
And and when you look at he's a legitimate dude, he's a scary SOB. He is.
But
you
he's
know what I
real.
mean?
He's a real.
So you said earlier also about your influences and
Yeah.
entitlement. Like, this is going to direct me towards the music and how that might influence your character. Because
Sure.
For me, I remember when I first started making music, or even back in the days, you could look at anyone in history, people would have to go through the gauntlet before their music got heard. You had to go through record labels. You had to make sure you was in shape. You had to go through
yeah.
so many filters. As of now, you know, you just be in your own home and just put something out there tomorrow.
Well, I remember
That's my
Method
studio
Man
right there.
saying,
That's my booth. Boom. Closet.
he's one
Wow.
of these guys.
Like crisscross.
I remember Method Man saying back in the day, you would only get access to certain things if you prove yourself in the streets by battle rapping.
Right.
You know what I mean?
That's how I
Like,
started.
Yeah, yes. So like I always I like the old, like we just talked about, it's like I like the old school hip hop. I think there's a lot of good cats around, and especially he shows me a lot of like, you know,
that last one was
Yeah,
awesome.
because I get so overwhelmed with the amount of music that I listen to and the music that I'm stuck in sometimes that I don't always see the new things. But the new things that he shows me a lot of the times, I'm like, okay, there's.
I swear I'd be playing people.
Hip hop is still very much alive, but you got to look for it. You know what I mean? There's still cats out there who like, you know, they talk about conscience things and they talk about things that are important and like, for instance, Absol and like.
Absol's that dude.
You know, Joyner Lucas, like guys like him, and like, so there's still great hip hop, just as if there's still great wrestlers, but the influx of it becoming easier and easier to access something that shouldn't be accessible this much is becoming more and more.
Now, does that sorry, I just had to ask you this as
Sure.
well. Respond to that. Does that go into your character as well when you're in the ring, like when your music is playing and the direct feeling of when your entrance comes out and you feel and you see the crowd? Does that have like a direct connection with who you are as well? A music influence?
The best music, by the way, is ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's his.
Yeah, top three in the freaking country.
It's hard not to go like.
Shout out to
somewhere.
Incendiary.
Incendiary. First off, real quick, how did that connection happen?
W's music group. I always pronounce it CFO.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry. They with Neil from W Music. They kind of wanted to do something special, so I wrote down the character for myself, which I, by the way, still do every single day because there's every day. My character is just not something that I think is a character. Aleister Black, and if we have time, I'll explain it. Aleister Black is also a very social statement, and there's a lot to Aleister Black that I don't explain to an audience, but will do eventually, and more will reveal itself as
I like the
time
fact
goes
that
by.
the character, you can explain it for a matter of 10 years. It can always keep evolving.
Well, I
That
think
gives you
if
longevity.
anything, I think as a wrestler, you need to be able to defend your psychology,
Mhm.
and you need to be able to defend your character and explain your psychology and your character. I think now a lot of days when I look at, I'll go back to the question in a second, but a lot of days it's something as well. Throwing back on the wrestling, I see a lot of the same build-ups, a lot of the same things, and it's no longer where people try to stand out, but we saw this one guy getting this reaction, so I'm going to do that too. Like the wrestling nowadays that makes me go is everyone has a strike, everyone has a power move, everyone has a technical move. It doesn't matter if you're 150 pounds or if you're 300 pounds, everything is the same. And I feel that there's not a lot of people out there that try to really stand out to the point where they have a defined style.
Mhm.
Now everything crosses. MMA is a hybrid as well. Pro wrestling of course, pro wrestling can be, but the problem is if everyone does it, there's no room for people to, be their own identity. So also that's why I created Aleister Black the way I did, is because I feel the way I explain Aleister Black and the way I see Aleister Black is that Aleister Black stands out, not just by an aesthetic, but by the way he talks, the way he moves, the way he thinks, because I do think of my character in the sense of a character. Like, obviously, if you see me on character like this, on camera like this, I am nothing like. But am I really nothing like Aleister Black? No, because there's a big part of myself that is within Aleister Black. There's a lot of conscious thought process that went into designing Aleister Black. And like I said, every single day I find out things about Aleister Black where I'm like, damn, he thinks like that. Like one of the things that I recently discovered, and it sounds very morbid. Like a lot of things about Aleister Black are morbid, but they're not meant in the sense of like, oh, he's trying to be this or he's trying to be. No, it's just like literally things that I understand and find out about Aleister Black. This whole pursuit of me wanting people to fight me is because I want someone to end me. That's his whole narrative. End me. Come on, do it. Pull the trigger on me. Do it. And it sounds very whoa. You know what I mean? But that's like it's again.
It's almost like Baki. like the animated the fighting animated show on Netflix. Right?
Oh, he's searching for the.
That's
I've
all.
never watched that one. I've
Check
heard
it
about
out.
that. Yeah,
Check it out. There's like they're all the fighters are prison mates on death row,
Right.
and they want to be killed. They want someone to end their life.
Sure.
So that's what they're fighting
Yeah,
for.
and it's a metaphor. It's a metaphorical idea because obviously but the idea that I've always had with Aleister Black in the terms of a social statement is that I know what I look like. I know how I talk. I know, like, when people look at me, for the most part, they'll be like, maybe not so more now as I did before with my tattoos and my aesthetic and, like, the music that I listen to and the way that I present myself. But for the most part, a lot of times I got people go like, oh, that kid's trying to be so edgy. I'm like, well, number one, I'm not a kid. I'm a 34-year-old man who's been around the block a couple times. I'm trying to get a well. The thing is, like, I'm trying to evoke a response from you, and the second I see you judging me for what I look like or what I'm trying to do, that tells me something about you as a human being. So I can kind of like, I understand, like, by your reaction on me, I understand what kind of person you are, and that's how I designed Aleister Black. And now I think a lot of people will be like, but that's legit how I designed him. I want to have a response with Aleister Black. I either want you to be judgmental as hell, I want you to be uncomfortable, or I want you to be comfortable. Because there's a lot of people that are going to go, with your character, with your music. You're going to love me, or you're going to hate me, and if you hate me, you're going to try and explain me. And you're going to try and explain me in the sense that you're going to judge me. Because you need to validate for yourself why you don't like me. And then the name calling starts, and this kid's trying to be edgy, or like, oh man, he's such a this, or he's such a. Well, I'm not trying any of these things.
You're just being.
I'm being, and if that revokes or gets a response out of you, then that response tells me about you, not about myself, because you're trying to explain me for you, not for me. And that's a lot of times people don't understand that, and even I think people now watching going like, I have no idea what he's talking about, which is also fine. There's no wrong or right.
Watching.
Well, so that's also where the whole moniker "No man's ever truly good, no man's ever truly evil" comes from. It has nothing to do with like we're either this or that. No, because good and evil are a complete reflection of in what social environment you grew up in. What I deem as bad might be for you is like, okay, but I did that in order to survive. No one wakes up thinking, well, I'm the bad guy. Right. But then the funny thing is, I have woken up thinking that I'm the bad guy because I've done things in my life that I'm so not proud of.
Absolutely.
So I understand the crossroads, and that comes all into play with Aleister Black and how I think about my character and what I do with my character. And that ties into music as well, because there's a certain ambiance, there's a certain presence, there's a certain aesthetic that I chose for Aleister Black. It comes down to why I wear my gear the way I wear my gear, why one of my kick pads is the way it is, and why the other one is normal, and why the more anger I get, the more provoked I get, the more I start to look like a demon and like a devil, and that's why I reference, the devil, but never saying the devil, because sometimes I felt in my lifetime I felt like I was the actual embodiment of the devil, and I've put that into that character. I remember giving Neil a Whittleton DVD. Whittleton is a black metal band, and I gave him a DVD where they started talking about how they view the world, and it's a very bleak and like depressed way, but there's a lot of truth in what he's saying. The problem is that like we throw a veil over our world continuously, over ourselves, because we don't want to be confronted with the bad stuff. You know what I mean? A buddy of mine who was in the military once told me, he said, like, it's funny how you guys get the news, because you get the news about how, these X amount of soldiers were killed, or how we saved X amount of people, but you don't get told about the other 20 bombings that happened, because they take that out, because they don't want people to continuously focus on the negative. They want you to give you enough negative to make you want to throw that veil over yourself. And again, I tied that into Aleister Black. I give you just enough for you to either want to do or you want to take a step towards it. Mm-hmm. Everything I do is a social response. Everything. Same with the music. I read an interview with Danny Phil from Cradle of Filth when I was 16 years old, 17 years old, and he said, when I grew up, I liked bands like Alice Cooper and Iron Maiden, and just bands that had like this like stage presence, and I wanted to do that, and I understood that because the nature of our business always to entertain and to have an ambiance, to have something that makes you think, makes you wonder, makes you be in awe, and makes us feel to them like we're larger than life, and I want to keep that preserved because I still think that is the essence of sports entertainment. I don't do many social media engagements because I don't like social media, but also because I feel it takes away from the authenticity of who I am as a performer and as a human being. Because if you get too close to me, then why would you fear me? Why would you respond to me? Why would you get this reaction with me if I created a relationship between you and I where you can see me as a normal human being? I don't consider myself to be a normal human being. And I don't think any person in the world should consider themselves a normal human being, because in our own ways, we have abilities and thought processes that are unique to our own. You know what I mean? And again, I tie that into Aleister Black, so I want you to kind of keep that veil of you, but I want you to lift that veil just enough to let me in where you and I can meet in the middle.
It's almost
and have
like
an understanding.
it's almost like seeing Pennywise and from the It, like we know very little about him, but we know him enough that we still fear him.
Yes.
But we understand, like we don't want to see Pennywise outside of
and how
the
cool
character
is it
of that.
when you learn little facts about Pennywise? When
little.
I heard that Pennywise was a female entity, I thought, that's so cool.
That's interesting.
And now I want to know more.
Yeah, but it's
You know what I
enough
mean?
to pull you in.
Exactly.
But we don't want to see Pennywise doing the dishes.
No,
You know, we don't want that.
no, I don't want. No, I don't want to see Tim Curry take his nose off and his wig off and guys going for a smoke.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't want to. And the funny thing is, Terry Taylor used to give me the same analogy with Darth Vader. I'm sure he's given you that one.
And not yet, because I'm not in this class. But I will ask him about that tomorrow.
Shout out to Terry Taylor. But but it's true. Like a part of our a big part of our business is to suspend disbelief. And I don't care as a fan how many times you try to analyze me and go like, you're still gonna go to the show. You're still gonna watch. I don't care how critical you are. You are still going to there to have a good time, and if you're not, then I don't understand what you're doing there. You can choose to be hypercritical, but then I referred back to the mirror that I've created with Aleister Black, and I can immediately see what kind of
It's
person
reflected
you
back to
are.
you.
Exactly.
It definitely defends your character
Yeah.
in any criticism of it with social media, because
Yeah.
everybody's a critic and everybody's opinionated.
Yeah.
Oh.
Boom.
But that DVD is what tied my character in, because it was the final button on the aesthetic of Aleister Black with the candles and the red, the predominant red that's continuously always surrounding Aleister Black. Because that place where I come from when I lift up, I call that the void. That's the same place where I sit and do my promos. It's a veil.
Okay.
It's a place that doesn't exist, but at the same time is real, because you can get there.
Mm-hmm.
You can get there. You can get there. But not you,
Right.
and not you, and not you, because you're not in that realm. You're on the outside looking in, but you're still intrigued by like, what's going on? You know, no matter how many times, oh my God, he talks again. Oh, he said that, really? You know what I mean? And either response is good. Whether you don't like it or whether you do like it, either response is fine because it works along the line of no man's ever truly good, no man's ever truly evil. Nothing I say you have to either agree or disagree with. Have your own opinion. Think for yourself. That's what Aleister Black is about.
Now with Zelina, from the character that I get the Queen of the South type character from you that I see
I
on
love that
USA.
show.
I have yet to watch it. I'm going to at some point. I swear I am. But I'm like, every time I see a commercial come up in USA, I'm like, that's Zelina. Am I close on that one? Do you
Yeah.
believe that's okay?
Yeah,
So
I mean, yes, but it's a lot of it's me. As much
Yeah.
as it's not, it is. And I mean, I pick things from different places. Especially, there was one thing that I absolutely loved. I believe Cookie. That's who it is. Cookie. That's
Cookie
where I've-
Man.
Yes, that's where I've taken a lot of. And then
Boo Boo Kitty.
I had said something along the lines of, not everybody was made for the streets. That's why they made sidewalks.
Yep.
And I go by that a lot of, like, especially with.
You were saying some real stuff. That
She's saying real stuff.
But you know, you just you think like that, like you genuinely think that. So when I see somebody like a Carmella, I'm like, oh, that's so cute, or you know what I mean. But that's how Zelina thinks. That's like, wow, that's really, it's a good try. But same with like a Liv or whoever it is, I can see them. I'm like, oh, that's cute, you know, that's so sweet. But no, and then even Love and Hip Hop, you know, you can pull things from Erica Mena, or you know, a Sin Santana, or it's just especially because they're from New York. So right there, I'm like, that's me, you know. Or and then a lot of the style goes to Aaliyah, you know, and just or Queen of the Damned, and pulling those things. So I love
definitely see that.
Yeah.
Definitely see that. I got you.
Like,
yeah, I mean that's a lot of like the my entrance by myself is a little bit more snake-like, and you know, so Medusa, like I love the snake, because everybody's like, oh, okay, she does belly dance and there's snakes and she's holding snakes in photos, and that's kind of freaky. It's a little scary. I don't know how I feel about it, but it's I think if you give them just enough to scare people, whether that's with snakes, whether that's with my attitude, or whether that's me mouthing off to you, you're like, oh, she might be serious about that.
but Medusa usually always has that attitude. I mean, they have her story all conflicted. When you actually know the truth.
I was just about to
Origins
say.
of like
I told her
it's
that,
such
like,
an amazing.
It's a new
tale.
construct, because I recently found that out that Medusa wasn't cursed.
No.
Medusa was given
Gifted. Yeah, she was.
the
Yeah.
power to fend off, well, everybody basically. She wasn't cursed.
Yeah.
And the story, and when that little hint, it went from a victim story to like taking your own power back.
Exact power back.
It was great.
You know, and
Very great.
That's where also Andrade likes to call me La Muñeca, which translates to the doll, because you're so cute, you're so pretty, you know, but you're so evil. You know, that's where I see you, you know. So
In New Orleans, they have these little dolls where they have like little spikes that come out. Like, it has a little push button. It's the most beautiful little porcelain dolls ever, but out of the feet comes these little.
like knives.
Yeah, like it's crazy.
That's a that's
Yeah,
Is that
that's
what you gave to Cedric?
Yeah,
Hey, Cedric, hold this against your stomach.
Right, just in case.
Hold it really tight. Squeeze it even.
Right, squeeze it. Just press the top, the pigtail. No, the left one. Yeah.
So it might be time for Teasy's table.
Let's do it.
Well, listen, guys. You know, you guys said earlier that you guys were gamers, right?
Oh wait, I'm the gamer person.
Well, you the gamer person.
Do we go to Teasy's table, or do we go to Swole's World? Which one are we talking
Swole's World is where the
I didn't even-
cosplay and the video games.
Well, we're now saying that on the Swerve City podcast, so now I know. Continue.
Here we go.
Oh, are we done with
Proceed.
Teasy? Well, I got a side note for Teasy told me right quick. I met Alice Cooper, and he's the most bomb person in the whole wide
That man
world.
hasn't aged in 30 years.
He's a big wrestling fan, isn't he?
Yes.
He's been the same man since
Huge
Wayne's
wrestling
World.
fan. It's ridiculous. Like him, well, actually, you know, never mind. Tim Curry is the best person to actually meet. Alice is close second. But anyway, Swole's World. Alright, so I want to talk about this cosplay here. They need to make you Jade, for real though. Look at
Yeah, right. I know.
For real though.
I know.
Ed, do me a solid.
You know.
Sean?
Come on.
Right. It's it's funny though, because I didn't know about Rhonda doing Sonya's voice until we were there for the reveal, and I put two and two together. I was like, how come you've known me forever, Tyler Lansdowne? You've not asked me this. I was so angry, and he's like, actually, yeah, I don't know why we didn't think about that. Yeah, no, I guess we can talk about it. And I was like, well, does this not make sense?
A little too late, huh?
Right. I was like, what is this? But
let's talk about this DLC.
Right.
you know what I'm
Exactly.
saying?
Come
Right.
on now.
Honestly, though, if we're talking about that, I think this one over here works perfectly for a Mortal Kombat DLC. Like, that's... He's his own
people started
Mortal
tweeting
Kombat
that.
character.
Yeah.
People started tweeting that. I was like, oh, we should make Aleister Black a Mortal Kombat character, like Ed Boon DLC. Yes, please.
Yeah, no, but for sure. And it's funny because the Jade thing, I knew, because I had tried really, really hard to convince Peyton to be Melina. So we were going to do Jade, Kitana, and Melina, and she just wasn't having it. And I was like, oh my god. But when we did it, it was just like, it was just perfect. And I didn't think it was going to get that kind of response, to be honest. And then when Ed Boon says that he's seen your cosplay, I'm like, okay, I'm good. I'm done. Thank you. Like,
Right.
you know?
It's something magical when like somebody higher up you didn't think it was reachable was like, that's bomb cosplay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I stood there in it talking to him, but I'm like, I did this because of you. Like, this is
So y'all were at the reveal party, right? So,
Right.
explain. Tell me how that went, because I know Cornell was watching. Shout out Cornell Gunter. He was watching on his phone.
I was glued. to
See,
my
I
phone.
didn't get to see it, but he was watching the whole time.
Yeah.
And so, did y'all got to play against Kofi? What was the?
I beat Kobe 4 times. Let's just put that out there. 4 times.
Who? All right.
Wait, who?
Keep going.
Scarlet.
Dang.
Scarlet.
Scarlet, she's cheap.
Jade is not my person. I'm good with Jade, Shao Kahn,
Shao
Kung Lao.
Kahn.
Yeah.
Shao Kahn's great.
I know he is. That's the problem.
Awesome.
But Kung Lao is really fast.
Kung Lao
and good.
is fast.
That's like playing with Golden State Warriors. Like, oh, okay, you beat me 4 times.
No, with Scarlet though, I beat him 4 times, so Kobe. But he's crazy with Noob Saibot. It's just like
Noob is tricky.
he's like
man.
Noob.
Noob is
He
good.
is Noob. It's
He's
just
in that void.
you
He
know.
don't play in real life. He just goes to the void and then freaking plays the
Right.
game.
Just
Playing
takes
in the
some
base.
carpet drop.
The
There we go.
thing that comes
I'll be right
out.
back.
Yeah.
Right.
We need the controller. Okay.
Yeah, the thing that comes out of him. That's Mr.
Yeah, we have that in the couch as well, so, you know.
Is Mortal Kombat like the thing that you're playing the most right now, or is it something else?
No, I jumped back on Far Cry. Because I
Five.
haven't played all the DLC for the 5th one, and I played the add-on that was released like a couple months
How
ago.
was that? Because we were
Awesome.
We were co-op on Far Cry
Yes.
5,
Yes.
and then I beat it, and then like I was like, okay, I need more, and
So,
I didn't get on
yeah,
to
but
doing
that more comes in that
The new one, right?
second part of 5.
because that's the post-apocalyptic
It's
one.
so good, but yeah, no. So her family was down, and so we played a little bit of Mortal Kombat at night. I think even her mom played because it was pretty fun. Her
My
mom used to
mom.
play Mortal Kombat with her.
Yeah, when I
back
was
in
a
the
kid.
day.
Oh,
Yeah.
So cool.
my grandma
Probably got that
with me.
song that you know.
Yeah.
I got you
My
now.
my grandma played. We had Dreamcast at my grandma's house, and me and my cousin would go over, and she played virtual tennis with us.
Oh.
That's the only reason I played that.
Yeah.
Tight, dope. And we played. My cousin had the PlayStation. He bring in. Remember that Ninja game? That shit, it was like I forget what it was,
yeah.
the name of it, but yeah, the Ninja game. She would bomb that. She would kill us in that.
Hey man.
She get Fighting Force. She
Okay.
killed in Fighting Force. Like
Yeah.
Fighting
yeah.
Force.
All right,
Gang.
Grandma.
Oh,
Yeah.
bro.
Fighting Force is that
She
gang.
knew the level. She knew it all. My grandma. So that was but
Hell yeah.
Does anyone remember a PlayStation 1 game called Battlefield Toshinden?
Yes.
Oh,
I used to be obsessed with that game because it was cheaper than Tekken. I couldn't afford Tekken.
Yeah.
So,
Is that the fighting game where like
when I
you
finally
knock
did
the
get a
armor off?
Tekken, I played
No.
Eddie all day.
Oh, man.
Oh, Eddie Gordo's awesome.
Eddie, man, listen.
No, not
Bushido
Bushido Blade.
You talking
That
about
was-
Bushido Blade was tough too.
that was.
Ninja
I
Gaiden.
always wanted them to make a third installment
Me
of like
too.
Addiction because
Which
that was
system
one of
was
the coolest, innovative games. It was like one hit kill.
Yeah, you had to like. You got hit
Remember
in
the
the arm.
ninja levels where you just like fought ninjas relentlessly?
I love that game.
Yeah, I had one and
One
two.
hit kills.
So yeah, but I was at the Nagata. That was like my favorite weapon. The big,
I had the
big
broadsword.
Yep.
The one you just had to swing. You can swing it 2 ways, this way or that way.
So cool.
I was like, oh.
Who was the chick who had like the submachine gun? Because I could never get past her when I used to fight.
That was the first Bushido Blade. Then.
That was the first one.
Was it?
Okay.
Yeah, because I don't remember in the second one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know one of them had like the sneaky gun thing. Yeah, but they all had the little special. But Bushido, but same as Tenshu.
Tenshu was super hard.
You
Amazing
love,
stealth
you love
game.
that. Yeah.
I am still like
Super
I am still subtweeting about like
Like
Tenshu.
please.
and
That's like the Hitman of
that
Bushido
monkey, like-
Blades.
No, that's oh my god.
He's on Hitman
I'm
right
on
now.
Hitman right
That's like
now.
the Lion King.
Hitman's great. Solid game show, game series. Hitman. I've been playing that
Hitman's
since
so
I'm on
like
Hitman. I'm on
Hitman.
Hitman
So
2 right now.
So
dude.
good.
It is
That
so.
new Hitman, yeah.
I got a gaming laptop a couple weeks ago,
Alienware?
Alienware one, and
Yes.
I got Steam.
Yep.
Bro.
Like my former tech partner Dante was like, get this,
Oh,
get that,
Dante,
get this, get that, and I got Blood. Remember that like Apogee
Yep,
game?
yeah, I remember
like
that.
Apogee, like a throwback.
I remember Blood. That was on Xbox.
I got Doom 2, Quake 1,
Hey, Quake.
Heroes of Might and Magic 3,
That's so
Okay,
fun.
that's a good one.
Worms Armageddon, Carmageddon, the original one, and
Sims.
you have The Sims. I do not have The Sims.
Sims.
Every family I had
on the Sims.
died.
Sims 4, Sims City.
on Sims.
Counter Strike.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
So I was just going like all these like old games back in the and the Rise of the Triad.
That sounds like something I get into.
Well, so that's a really old shoot 'em up game, but it was very gory. Like it was one of the first games that I played where I was like, Oh, damn! Like he would shoot a person in the head, and his eyeballs would fly against the screen. I was like,
Oh god.
Please
This is
bring that out.
Oh,
Bring that out. Bring it out.
yeah, I was like,
Need the gore games.
When did that come out?
it's like an old game. It was like when I was like 16, 17 years old. So it's like Duke Nukem, like
Okay, I was like, is that
Duke
before or
Nukem
after
kind of
Mortal
graphics
Kombat?
and stuff like that.
So were you in like Age of Empires and stuff like that? Built
Oh yeah,
something?
Age of Empires.
I figured I knew I was
Another one. Age
That's
of,
what I
we
was
were
in.
just talking about
Yeah.
that the other day, and I
Yeah.
said to her, "It was like, do you remember Age of Empires?" She's like, "No,
Yes.
like
Oh my
Age of
God.
Empires." But yes,
Yes.
But that
Same
whole
here,
that whole
just mentioned that.
Painkiller is another one that I
Yes.
just got, and I was telling her because. In Far Cry, I love the bow. I bow everything because there's something satisfying about
It
hitting
is.
people with a bow.
Hey.
So I remember in Painkiller, you had the stay gun, where you would like if you would shoot an enemy, that would fly against the wall with that stake in their body parts, and there was something very satisfying about that for some bizarre reason.
Look at you laughing.
I know.
You're like, yes, there is, yes.
Yeah.
I can understand. When I'm playing
yes,
Tomb
yes.
Raider, ain't nothing like getting that bow and just shoot.
Well, that's what I mean.
Through the head.
Yeah, got it.
Got him.
It- it's
Hey,
just
come see
something-
this.
I feel like the best
Replay.
animation arrow was on Last of Us. There was some satisfying.
played that.
Oh
I've
my
not
god!
Mm.
I must have borrowed that from you like 5 times. man.
Zombie
You did.
games
You
mess
did.
with me. I can't
You
play
did.
them.
Yeah, this one will get you. But man, there's something
Really?
satisfying because there's something satisfying about the arrow dynamics in that game because it was just like it would shoot, it would arc. You had to get the
Arrow
arc
dynamics.
perfectly,
Yeah.
and when it hit, you like
Nah, I get
yes. It's like if you missed, they would come out and they'd hear it and come in and get you.
Right.
There's something like I get you about the animations.
My inner gamer's buzzing right now.
Yes.
Bloodborne.
Yes.
Difficult
yes.
game.
Yes.
I haven't played
So
that.
I tried playing that, but I know everyone's like, no, give it another shot because like
Difficult
you have
game?
to figure out
What was
the
it,
way of like beating him, and I'm just like, no, this is too
the
much.
order.
Yeah.
It was
It's
similar
tough.
to the
What
order.
boss did you leave off
That's what I
to?
felt like.
I didn't even get past the first level, my friend.
Oh wow.
No.
What's a game that everybody loves and is like highly regarded as a really great game, but you just couldn't get into it?
Gran Turismo.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yes. Yes.
No matter how bomb
Yep.
6
No,
was.
I did
6
not
and
like
18 was bomb. I was like, I can't.
I love realism, but yeah, I'm going 80 and all of a sudden my car goes
Give me the
But-
Need for Speed. The
Right.
Need for Speed 2 is my
Right.
favorite one.
underground too.
Yep. Yep.
What's
I
the
love
one?
Need for
What's
Speed,
the
but
one with
Underground
the
Nitro?
oh my god, no,
Ooh, Forza?
the one with the skull
Midnight
and
Club?
his head on fire and the clown and the
Twisted
Oh,
Metal!
Twisted Metal.
Yes! Twisted
Yeah.
Metal Black!
So you did like it?
Yeah.
I did like Twisted
It's
Metal.
okay,
Yeah,
yeah.
it just reminded me of it. I was like, oh, it's in that same time frame that I
Yeah.
played that.
What's a good game that you
Crash
never
Bandicoot, the first one. I
No.
The first one?
He wants to know which game you don't like, but everybody likes.
There's a-
No, oh, they said didn't finish it. I couldn't
No,
get past.
just
Okay,
didn't like.
No.
Didn't
Yeah.
like.
Everybody
it?
loves the game,
Like
but
there's
you
like
just,
like
it's
Oh.
so critically claimed great
Hmm.
that you just like nope, not mine.
Diablo.
Oh
yeah.
I had a roommate that was so into it. I'm like,
Dante still to this day tries to get me on it, and I'm just like,
That Diablo came out 3 times while I worked at GameStop. 3 separate times it released and had a midnight release. I was sick and tired of these Leroy Jenkins folks coming up in here talking about something. Give me that Diablo. You got a Diablo? It's
No, I
worse than like
don't.
the black people coming in. You got that 2K? Okay, you got that 2K? That's you.
that's me.
That's these
Yep.
these two right here.
Yep.
You
Yeah,
got
but
that
see,
2K?
everybody
damn well
likes
I'm gonna
those
get mad at
games.
it.
I don't like those games.
and another one,
can't
and that's
get
gonna
into
not
those.
make me popular. GTA.
Hey,
Oh,
I didn't like
Jesus.
But I'm with you though. But I'm with you.
no, it's always you, Mike.
Yeah, man, I'm the contrarian. Yeah.
I did
I know.
like it.
I'm trying to
And
get
I
people to
know-
like
I know
you, Mike.
Everybody
man.
loved it. I just like
I ain't trying to get black mass, so I'm gonna throw it at you.
I tried playing it like several times, and I just could not get into
I
the
like
Not
game.
even like Vice City.
Nothing.
Here we go again.
No.
I did like Vice City though.
For me,
None of them.
I actually did like it.
The playlist on Vice City.
What's the
Like what?
for me? I would say, what's the shadow of the?
Shadow the Dam?
No.
Oh, boy, look, I'm about to throw another
No,
one. Give
it's
me
the
a
Lord of the
cutback.
Rings thing. It's the Lord of the Rings.
Shadow Mordor?
Yeah,
Shadow Mortar?
couldn't
I
do
should
it.
beat that.
Give him a cutback.
Give me a cup.
I'm
Give
still
it up.
playing.
Give it
I'm
up.
still playing.
No. Oh,
That head got in the way, didn't it? Hey!
Wait, what?
Dismissed.
Wait, what did Katy Perry say? They asked you how you doing, you just can't tell me what you. That's you right now. I'm sorry.
Hey!
Keep that hat on, baby. It's look. I
Look, come on, just on my shoulder.
You're too low.
Wow.
You're too low.
Hey, you want me to do your hat back?
No, you only get the first.
You got the one button.
You get the one button. You only get the one button. You only get the one button.
It's on the last button.
It's on the last button, dog.
Oh, Jesus. Oh, my God.
Listen, segue. So every time I shop for hats, right, I gotta go like 8 and like 5/8, bro.
You gotta go big and large.
And them things be like $40. So I'm like squeezing in the 8 and 3/8 right now.
Care to explain the story about the back of your head to the Mr. Aleister Black and Miss Zelina Vega?
Your hair keep growing.
Did you say Mr. Zelina Vega?
Mr. Aleister Black and Miss Zelina Vega.
Oh, they said Mr. Zelina Vega. I'm like,
That'd be
wow.
an
Can you explain that
issue,
story, the back of the head story? I think it's a remarkable story. The viewers already know it. Just to close off the interview, the show.
So
Boom. This is a great close.
So I had hair on my head previously a couple weeks ago, and so I go to the barbershop, and this really should be part of my comedy skit at this point. So I'm sitting in the barber chair, and I said, "Yo, I just want the Michael Jordan." He's like, "You want the Michael Jordan?" I said, "Yeah, I want the Michael Jordan." But
Came out looking like Marshall Faulk.
So I said, "Yeah." So I'm getting my hair shaved. And we're having a good conversation. Yeah, now we talking.
You need to talk with it.
Or whatever. And next thing I know, I'm talking, and he's like shaving the back of my head. So next thing I know, I'm like, ha 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 ha. Ah! Just the blade just cuts the back of my head. Now normally, your head big, because normally you fall forward. Normally you fall forward when you go to sleep. You just like, but my thing, like all the weight just like took me back.
But when you do in the back of the head, your head's supposed to be
down.
like this.
I'm like this.
How do you fall back?
I'm like this. So I don't know how gravity pulled me back, but my head went. So now I'm bleeding all over the place. And he's like, so then he's like, "Damn, bro, I nicked you, man. You fell asleep with your head, all this weight, and the blade got caught in the back of your neck." So now it's like everybody.
I'm at the barber's like, oh.
So the barber's like, oh. He's like, "Oh man," he's like,
Oh,
You're
Jesus.
bleeding out.
"I'm bleeding out back here." So then he takes he got this paper towel. I don't know why you put green alcohol on my head. So he takes the green alcohol. He's like, "This will stop it." Green alcohol, and he puts the green alcohol back. I was like, bro, I swear to God, all the manhood in me was done. That back, I was like, ah! No, dude, I was sitting there. I was like, dude, luckily he was almost done. So my head's still bleeding. So I'm in the plaza, and there's a Dollar Tree in the same plaza. So I get up, and I'm holding this thing in the back of my head now. And I'm walking in the
like the zombie apocalypse. I got bit up.
So, we're walking in there. I swear it's like one of them GTA characters, like I'm wounded. So I'm walking there, and I'm like, where the Band-Aids? Lady's like, "You all right?" I said,
Band-Aids, damn it.
I need the Band-Aids. I need Band-Aids. So tell me where the Band-Aids are. These little kids looking at me, "Are you okay?" These little kids talking to me, and so I'm like, I just need the Band-Aids. So I go get Band-Aids, and
Shut up, kid.
now mind you, my head's moisturized, and I got a big head. So regular Band-Aids ain't gonna work. So I'm getting the Band-Aids, and I'm like, this ain't gonna work. So I try to I go to the dollar store. I'm now the line long. I'm sitting holding this thing back in my head. So then I go.
But nobody gonna let you cut either.
Nobody gonna let me cut. People, how you got one thing, and then people got a whole grocery. They got their whole cart filled up. They ain't let me go, and they wasn't opening up another line.
She said she got 16 things of flavor ice. She need all
So
these.
I'm like this. So I'm standing in line like this. I'm like this, standing in line. So then I try the Band-Aids on, and they're not sticking.
So your head is oily.
Exactly. Because my head's oily, it's shiny, and it's brand new bald, so it's like,
Brand new bald.
So now I'm like, okay, so I'm walking around like this, so I had to get on. So now mind you, my car was messed up, so I had to get on the city bus.
It keeps getting worse.
I had to get on the city bus, and I'm sitting there, and now the lady that's driving the bus knows my grandmama, so she knows me. So she's like, "You okay?" So everybody just knows me at this time. So I finally get to Walgreens. I finally get the moisturized Band-Aids. Now, luckily, nobody's in Walgreens, so I got through that pretty good. But that's my story on how I got this bald head.
She said, "Antoine, what's wrong?"
She's like, "You all right, baby?"
"You all right, baby?"
And then she just goes right back like, "So, I talked to your grandma, didn't even care how."
She said, "You all right?" So I'm
like,
your grandma the other
It's like, can you
No
please?
pause.
It's like that episode of Hey Arnold when his hat went missing.
Right.
Like, dang, you all right, Teasy? What's going on?
Yeah, man.
You good, bro? Something ain't right with you today.
That's my story, man.
Oh, that was great.
Well, on that note,
Yeah, what a way to close the episode. Episode 6, 7, what are we? 666.
6.
That's how I'm gonna remember this.
You know what?
Boom. Yep. So.
I think everyone's just absorbing that one and just
Yeah.
kind of going, yeah.
Well,
That was my day.
So wait. Why did it go this way?
I still don't know. That's the thing. I don't know. I was like this. I was like this, and like I was falling asleep in my head, like I was like rising up, and he was still back there shaving, and mind you, all this is gone. So all this back here, like George Jefferson, it's like gone. So next thing you know, like it just lifts. It's like just your universe just was like and it just
his head was trying to get to the void.
and it just I mean it wasn't like a dramatic. It was just like a fall. It was like oh my god.
George Jefferson.
I ain't been back since though.
Well, no.
I would say.
Take some,
I wouldn't go back either. They
take
got a
some
piece.
caffeine the next time you get in there.
Absolutely.
So that you know.
Then you're gonna be like, right.
Right.
I guess it's the
Sitting there
Make
like,
something
get in the
called
shaving.
Yeah, get my head. Huh?
Sweating. No.
sitting there just like this.
pop your no-dos.
I would
you know,
say
you know,
where can they follow you on social media, but you got more followers than all of us in here combined. But give it away.
Where can we follow you, Strickland?
Yeah, who's watching my show? Yeah. What's my name on social media? Oh yeah, Twitter at Swerve.
Sorry, look, sometimes I can't fix my face in time. In time, it gets stuck like.
Come again.
Just if you forgot your own name, you can just recite that one.
Oh, Isaiah Swerve Scott on Instagram.
Yeah,
what's
good luck
Twitter?
remembering that one.
Swerve Confident.
Okay, and what's yours? You done changed yours about 50, 11 times since today.
You can
What is it,
probably,
Antoine Lewis? Teasy Scott.
Bald head 37.
What is it? New boy bald?
I'm about to get my nick back.
New bald head.
Nick
new
Nat
ball.
Paddywhack.
Dollar Tree ball.
Since we on the
Brand new
subject,
bald.
where did Demetrius come from?
That's just a.
I know your ass for about 10 years, and
That's just. That's an alias.
That's it.
Teasy Scott.
Definitely.
You follow
Teasy
Teasy Scott.
Teasy Scott, Twitter, Instagram, things of that nature. You can follow the podcast too at Swerve City Pod. We got to make sure we plug that too.
Every time.
Aerial Monroe on Twitter, Aerial_Monroe, or just look up Big Swole. One and only.
You're welcome for that addiction.
And our sponsor around Seattle. We always forget it.
Yeah.
Shout out to our sponsor.
I don't forget him.
You did this podcast.
Yeah, I did.
Shout out to Around Seattle. Thank you so much for all your contributions to the Swerve City
Sponsorships, all
podcast.
this
Thank you
great
so much
stuff.
for
He said,
all of
yeah,
our
good job. Yeah, good job.
mics and our banners and our continuous love and support.
Thank you for the guests of the evening.
You sound like you're doing an infomercial.
I am.
She's bringing the podcast back together because I'm
Yeah.
gone. I'm
Awesome.
out.
Yeah,
She's the only professional one here.
Yeah, I got it together.
It's awesome.
Shout out to Zelina Vega for coming through.
True
Mr.
that.
Aleister Black for stopping through. Be confident in everything you do.
Wash your ass.
Or you gonna get that pop.
Boom. Close.